In this video, we're going to explore some of the most common issues that I see with Alkane nomenclature. As you're working on learning nomenclature for the first time, you're going to run into some issues. I mean, it's a normal thing. And Alkane nomenclature is completely different than stuff you've done in the past. So I like to take special emphasis on the types of problems that I see that students have with nomenclature. So one of the common mistakes I see occurs in this scenario. So you already know you need to identify the longest continuous parent chain, right? I mean, that's part of the rules. We always find the longest continuous parent chain, which may or may not be linear. Now, in this molecule, it's the exact same molecule, okay? We're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, which way's numbering is correct? The rule here is if either way I count it, I get a 7-carbon chain. It's obviously going to be a 7-carbon chain. But there is one that's correct and there's one that's not correct. This is the version that's correct. Okay, you choose the one that has the greatest number of substituents. So you want to pick your chain in such a way that you have the greatest number of substituents. Counting it this way gives me 4 substituents versus counting it this way gives me 3. And this figures in your textbook. And then another common mistake I see is numbering direction. Okay, you always number closest to your first substituent. So here are 2 options. Numbering from the bottom gets me to my first substituent on carbon 2, whereas numbering from the top gets me to my first substituent at carbon 3. Right? So you always number so that you get to your first substituent soonest. In other words, you want to use the lowest numbers possible. This is a very common mistake I see as well. We also have the situation that occurs when we have complex substituents. So you could think of these as substituents with substituents. I know that's a lot of times saying the word substituent in the same sentence. Let's pretend that this is attached to some chain. Let's just pretend it's like a 12-carbon chain and this is attached to it. Okay, so this right here is the point of attachment. Here's the rest of the chain. All right, so looking at this, you see it's a 3-carbon chain, but this chain has a smaller chain coming off of it and a smaller chain coming off of it here. So this is a substituent on a substituent because this is the point of attachment, right? So this substituent is a propyl group, 1, 2, 3, with an ethyl group on it and a methyl group on it. So the way we write this is we call this 1-ethyl 2-methylpropyl. We put parentheses around it, okay? I know that that's kind of crazy to think about when you're first getting started, but just imagine, again, this is the chain. Now, if this were the point of attachment and it were just this linear chain, we wouldn't have to worry about this. But because it's attached, a substituent on a substituent, we have to call it an ethyl-methyl group, and then we have to say where on the chain, the subchain, those substituents are located. Here's another example. Again, this is the point of attachment, so here's the chain, however long it is. Right? So this is a butyl group, and it's got 1, 2, 3 methyls on it. So 1, 1, 3 trimethylbutyl. That's the name of this substituent. So let's see what that looks like in a real scenario. Let's take this molecule and name it. All right? If you want to pause the video here and try it for yourself, then you can check your work too. So there's the molecule, and we're going to number it. Longest parent chain. And then we're going to number it from this end so that our first substituent's on carbon 2 versus carbon 3. Okay? So we've got a methyl, 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 and methyl. So we've got tetramethyl. And now this is a 2-carbon chain with a methyl group on carbon 1. Right? So we call that 1-methyl-ethyl. And then we put them in alphabetical order. Methyl comes before methyl-ethyl. So this gives us a big, long name. But this is, again, it's going to come with practice, right? Coming with practice. The more you practice this, the easier it'll become, more second nature it'll become.